Hi, guys. Welcome back. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Demaya.
And this is She Thinks She Knows podcast.
So, everybody, today we have another special guest, and we know him as J Money's dad. Our friend from the few mass football games that we would sit with J Money's dad and his grandma every week. And then later on, we learned that his name is Belchez. And so Belchez of Harlem. And so today we have a very special guest, and we like to say friend, coming on our show to talk and give us a little more insight as to what he does in life and how he got where he got. So, Belchez, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Prior to this, we sat at many football games, and it was to the point where I would only look for my son and you guys. Like, all right, I found my son. I'd come up to the stand. I'd look for my friends, and we would sit down and just talk and talk football and talk life. And it was really refreshing to see two very beautiful, very smart, very articulate young black women at a football game, just supporting a very bad football team. Um, so I was really appreciative of that energy. Fast forward to who I am. I am an authenticator. I am a dean. I am a teacher. I am an artist. I am a community activist. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I am handsome. There are so many things that I am, but I'm also very appreciative of this opportunity to kind of share my story on this particular platform. And I'm very proud of you two young ladies and the third mysterious lady that I don't know.
One thing I wanted to say as well is we started telling Belchez about our podcast, and when we introduced him to it, it was really like not where it could be. And so I'm really glad that we could get him on the show. Because we always talked about it. And fate just like brought us together. And
Mhm.
so I'm just glad that we're able to get him on the show when our podcast is reaching better heights and it's doing its thing. So thanks again for coming on.
I listen to the podcast frequently on my drives back to New York from the game. So I just got tired of music. I was like, let me check this out. It's like, all right, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. It's pretty good. So I'm excited to be a guest.
Okay, so going to the point of the mysterious host. So as you guys know, Mahara's not here today. And it's always interesting because I remember at the games, Mahara, like somehow she was never at the games.
Hmm.
But me and Demai were talking about it previously. We were like, where was she though? Because we usually did everything together in college. And so when we were like, oh, Mahara, I don't think Mahara has officially met him outside of the exhibit. So it was just interesting that you pointed that out because it's like odd coincidences
Oh
how.
yeah, that's right. She came. She came to the exhibit.
Yeah, so short introduction, but hopefully you'll be seeing more of her in our coming episodes when you.
Right. Right.
So to start, like Demaya said, your name is Belchez, which is uncommon. I've never really heard it before. It's a very unique name. So how did you get that name, and what does it really mean?
So so the short and long story of it is so back in college, my homegirl and I started this like T-shirt line, and her last name was Belches. So it was Belches. I can't remember how she pronounced it, but we were doing things together, and then she stopped doing it. So I couldn't take her name, so I changed the S to a Z, and I actually found out what it meant. The name, and Belle is beautiful, and Chez is possession. So just by changing that S to a Z, I found out that this made up name that I put together means beautiful possession, which works so well for everything that I do because I'm an artist, I'm a graphic designer, so everything that I give to people or people purchase from me becomes their beautiful possession. So in turn, just kind of just move, I discovered a super cool name. So I was super excited about that working out because if it didn't have any meaning, I'd be up here lying. So I'm glad they had a meaning.
Wow, that's actually very clever, and I don't think Brianna and I would have ever imagined that was what it would mean. So, um, during our conversations at those football games, we also learned that you played football and that you were a college athlete yourself. So, how did you get to be Belchez? How did you get here being an artist?
So my story is very interesting, and it's based on like this one narrative story of what a black man should be. So growing up, I loved art. I used to draw all the time. So growing up, I grew up in New York, and I used to see Keith Haring all the time. Like he came to my school. He used to draw in kids' notebooks. I used to see his artwork all on the train. Keith Haring wasn't a big deal. He was a big deal, but he was just like he was a superhero you can touch. So I used to draw all the time, and I remember kids used to bring in T-shirts and give me like 75 cents. I'd take it home. I'd paint on the T-shirts like Bart Simpson, Garfield, whatever, and then I'd give it back to them the next day. So I used to do that a lot, and then I remember with the conversation, my mom was like, "Yo, I can't afford college," and I think I was like, I don't know how old I was. I think I might have been like junior high school or something like that, or late elementary. She's like, "Yeah, I can't afford college, so you're gonna have to figure it out." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Figure it out?" Looking back at it now, it's funny, but back then it was just like, "What are you saying?" So, so I started, realizing, all right, how can I get to college, and I fell in the cookie cutter of this one narrative of like playing sports. If I would have actually said, you know what, I'm going to go to art school and I'm going to paint and I'm going to draw, um, I would have been even further along my path that I am now. But I am grateful for the path that I took. So I started playing football. Played football in high school. Played football in college. Um, I went to UMass for a split second, got into a little trouble and exited UMass, bounced around here and there, went to Fairleigh Dickinson, uh, you know, finished Fairleigh Dickinson, tried out for the NFL twice. I had my son, as you guys know, is Jay Money. And after 2 years of trying out to NFL and putting everything into it, I was defeated. I didn't have anything else, and I didn't know what to do. I had an education that didn't connect with anything. It was just like political science. It was just to get me out of college. So I remember sitting in the living room and looking at Jay, and he was playing with like his train, Thomas train, and his mom was at work, and I was like unemployed, and I was like, yo, I got to figure something out. So he had like a little paint set, and I picked it up and I painted on a T-shirt, just messing around. And his mom came home and was like, "Who did that?" I was like, "I did that." She was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." I was like, "Yeah, thanks." Uh, so then she took it to work. She sold it, and then I did another one, and she sold it. And then I remember in college, I was making T-shirts for a little bit, just with my homegirl, because she was mad fly. I was kind of fly. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start calling it Belchez again. And then I was painting, and that process led me from painting to learning how to graphic design, learning how to screen print, learning how to work on canvas, learning how to work with clothing, learning how to do branding for other companies. It just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And then I had an opportunity to teach. So I wound up teaching graphic design and digital photography at a high school, and then that turned into being a dean, then an assistant principal, then a second grade teacher, then a parent coordinator, then back to a dean. So art came right back and came full circle and led me to education, and then led me to this ginormous, uh, big Belchez character everybody knows me as. I'm also very long-winded. If Jay Money didn't tell you. But that's the quick synopsis.
No, we definitely love full circle stories. We actually appreciate those because we definitely want people to see a full picture, and you definitely give that. So we appreciate it. Um, and there was something you said, and when you spoke, you said that you mentioned Keith being a hero, a superhero you can touch. And so we kind of view you as a superhero you can touch because we're like, wow, this man's amazing. Like he's doing all this stuff, but still manages to be a guy you can just say, hey, like he doesn't seem like he's so far away that you're intimidated, approach. You kind of give a welcoming energy. So usually when people get to a high status, their circles get very exclusive. They're really hard to speak with. So why do you feel like it's important to continue to build relationships in your community and with people in general?
I mean, I think that's corny. I think, I mean, there will be times, as you know, because you guys been trying to get me here for a little while, and it's just because my schedule, um, I'm, I'm fake busy. I need to organize my schedule. I'm not really, really busy just yet. I will be really busy soon, but I'm fake busy. So it's just a part of me not organizing and a part of me just not prioritizing, but I'm trying to figure it out. But this knowledge that I'm acquiring, if I don't then take it and I don't give it to you, literally give you this knowledge, then the knowledge I acquired is pointless. You know what I'm saying? I would rather make $100,000 with 10 people than $1 million for myself. Because then you gonna take that 100,000 and you gonna make $50,000 with 20 people. And then that's where the collective consciousness of community wealth. That's how we really push the needle. That's how we really move it. So anybody, you can ask anybody. If you stop and you ask me for something, I'm gonna tell you where I got my hats. I could tell you where in Pakistan I bought this. I can tell you, yo, don't go here, go here, because passing that information on is necessary. I've spent a college education on the mistakes that I've made. So if I can tell, yo, listen, little sis, this is what you got to do. This is who you need to connect to. At the end of this, matter of fact, I'm gonna put you on with my homegirl, Sharifa Murdoch, who is phenomenal. Remind me about Sharifa Murdoch. She is the most powerful African American woman in fashion on the low. And she runs Envision Fest, which is an all woman of color event to empower women. And she will absolutely love you guys. But remind me about that. But she's also one of those people that just passes that information on and passes that knowledge on. So, you know, it's pointless if I don't do that, and being conscious. And I didn't even realize, that I'm becoming a superhero people can touch and involved in, and that's just what I'm looking from Keith Haring. Keith Haring was mad normal to me, and people look at him like, oh wow, it's Keith Haring. I remember him coming to my school, and it was just like, oh hey Keith, like I knew him. Like, yo, what's up, Keith? Can you draw in my book? Yo, if I had oh man, if I had that book right now,
You will be, you will be on a whole nother level.
yeah, we'd have this conversation in a helicopter right now. Like, yeah, that'd be crazy.
Literally. So one of the other things that we're gonna ask you, I think you kind of touched on it already, in like sharing your knowledge and sharing wealth. And so we've observed that a lot of the projects that you do target working with younger folks. And so, like, what were your original motivations for this?
I want to give kids the experience that I never had. Growing up in Harlem, single mother, the regular stereotypical stuff in the projects. Drugs, gangs, all the stuff you see on those HBO specials done by the white people. Um, so I want to make sure, when I talk to a student or when I approach a student or even when I help, it's giving them an experience that I didn't have. So it's like, oh, come out here, do this, because I know if you do this, it'll open you up to something outside of just basketball or something just outside football. And these are the conversations that I have with my son. After football is over, even once you make it to the NFL, what is next? And a lot of people don't know what's next because they've only had this one narrative placed on them. So if I can spread the information about, like, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, try this, do this, then I'm putting myself in a great place for the future of my community as well.
So, your art, it kind of goes down a lot of different avenues. So you say you work with digital creation, you do mixed media, you do spray painting, you do screen printing, you do all of that stuff. So, what kind of message are you trying to send with that, and what led you to getting into this theme of like just full on expression, no real lines to it? It's just everything.
Because I didn't know I can draw, but I'm not the best artist, you know. So I need to become uh, I need to become the most versed artist. You know what I'm saying? So I can draw, but I can't like draw like realism art. You know, but I can mix some graphic design with some leather, with some screen print, with some hand sketching, with some spray paint, and it's gonna be like, oh wow, that is really impressive. So understanding my weaknesses and then turning those into strengths, like even like I hate emailing. Like I'm not a sturdy emailer, but understanding I'm not a sturdy emailer, I'm gonna sit my ass down. It's gonna take me 15 minutes, 20 minutes to maybe put together a little paragraph. When you see it, like, oh wow, this is fantastic, you know. But in actuality, I struggled the whole time, and I had to have my wife read it over and spell check the shit out of it. But I'm aware of the gaps in who I am creatively. So when I approach it, it's just like, all right, I got the message. Now, how do I deliver the message to where people will receive it on a big scale visually? Because we're all visual learners, so and that's how I approach things.
I really do appreciate that because people look at artists and they're like, oh, like they're so amazing and like they do this and like I think the narrative is that they always have a reason for doing what they're doing, or that it was effortless and that they didn't struggle. So I really appreciate that perspective because I like to paint as well, and I created this theme, I guess, of like portraits without putting people's like facial features, because I'm like, I cannot do facial features. Like I'm not the best at that. And so I'm like, okay, how can I capitalize on like still being able to make somebody look the way they look, like who they are, without the facial features. So thank you for
No,
that.
I think that's phenomenal because when you look at art and and if you draw a picture and you draw that person happy, that person is forever happy. But if I'm looking at this like your logo, like you know, I don't know how she feels, but maybe one day I'll look at this and like, oh wow, she's happy. She got the little side part. She threw her hair back. You know what I'm saying? She's looking good. And then maybe tomorrow I'll look at it like she was in a rush. She didn't get a chance to finish braiding her hair, twisting it out last night because she got in an argument. So that art forever changes. You know, even the art that's behind you is just like, you got the group of girls behind you. Like, what are they staring at? Was it a fight that they just saw, or at their or are they at the christening? So it's just like, the fact that it's faceless, there's so much behind it, and it continues that story. So I really love that. I really, really do love that. You should make
And
that a T-shirt, by the way. I'm sorry.
yeah, and adding to that, this piece right here is actually a Demaya original. She made it for my birthday. And so I'm
Really,
very proud of yeah, I'm very proud of that one.
I
And
can't wait for a Belchez.
go
Just
Coming soon, coming soon.
yeah. And so yeah, to add to that, so like you both were saying, being able to use your weaknesses, understanding your weaknesses and turning them into strengths. Similar to Demaya, I was always into any kind of crafts. Like I grew up not really sticking to one thing. I want to do paper mache, I want to do nails, I want to do embroidery, I want to do all that stuff. And my mom really supported everything that I did. And I just liked the idea of creating. So I didn't realize how I would, create it into a career or anything, but I always enjoyed it. And so one thing that I've recently been sort of getting into is that I would go on Instagram, and your explore page pretty much floods you with all this stuff you continuously watch. So I'm continuously seeing people make such great portraits, all these watercolor drawings. I'm like, dang, like I just know how to do paint. Like, I kind of paint. Like I can never really label myself as like I'm an artist, But more and more as I started to realize, like, art isn't really a thing that you have to be good at. Like, it's not,
No.
you can't define art. Like, people can do anything and it's like that's art. It's just as long as you enjoy the process. And so I definitely started to understand more, like, this is why art was always something that it doesn't matter what form it was, I always liked, because there's no boundaries. You can do whatever you want. As long as you like it, it's good. Like, that's it. And other people, I feel, feed off of that. Because like you were saying, when you see a picture, if it's faceless, you're not gonna be like, oh, that person don't know how to draw faces. It's
Right.
gonna be like, oh, that's cool. That's something that's their signature, you know, like that's
Mm-hmm.
their thing. And I respect that now. It's not like, oh, this is that. Like, this is really that. So I definitely feel like it's an avenue that a lot of people should take more time going down and appreciating, because it's like an outlet. It really is. And so
Hmm.
yeah.
No, I definitely encourage any art, and I'm relearning art history, and it is so important to see young black women as artists, just black people in general, because we go to these big museums, we never see black artists, and I come to the realization is you don't see black artists, you're removing black history because black art is history. So then, if I don't see the history of black art, then they can tell me the story of who I was, which is just a slave, and then we gave you an opportunity to vote, and then you niggas playing the NBA. It's just like, what happened? Like, that's all we did. Like, where is the history? And that's removing those significant elements out, and I feel guilty because I don't even know enough black artists. I actually have a book that I've been damn, I left it in Martha's Vineyard. I had a book that I bought, and it was just like this old black art book, and it just like talked about all the artists that I never knew. I own my three favorite artists: Aaron Douglas, and Ernie Barnes, obviously, and then Keith Haring. But Aaron Douglas and Ernie Barnes are both black artists that are phenomenal. Everybody knows Ernie Barnes for creating a Good Times poster. I don't know if you guys know Good Times, but you can look them up. They're they're very good artists. So yeah, you got to keep doing what you got to do. You do 100 pieces, you gonna be like, damn, this shit look good. I'm an artist. But you do 100 pieces, you hang it on the wall, you be like, wow, this is really good. This is really good. So I encourage that to the fullest.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. So right now we're going to take a quick break. In this first half, we talked about who Belchez is, how he still manages to keep his ties with his community while he grows in his endeavors, and his view of art. And when we come back, we're going to start honing in on more of his projects, what he plans to do next, and some tips that he may have for us. So see you guys soon. Hi, guys. Welcome back. We're She Thinks She Knows podcast, and we're here with Belchez of Harlem. So, in the beginning of our podcast, as you guys know, we talked about who Belchez is, how he got to where he is now, and how he still manages to keep a close tie with his community. And so, our first question coming back, we attended and I don't really swear, so this is going to be kind of maybe you can fill it in. Ain't anything Gucci exhibit.
Ain't
Um,
it, either.
yeah, so we addressed where you addressed the state of the Black life in this country, and we thought that that was a really great exhibit. It just happened that we were in New York when it happened, so we were like, wow, this is perfect. Like, we can see him again. It's been like I don't even know how long since we've seen you from the football game, so it was just perfect timing. So what kind of was the process of going through that and learning and unlearning Black history while you were putting all of that together?
I was upset. I was angry. I was confused, and as a man, as a father, as a teacher, I don't know what to tell my son. When it comes down to, when the police come, stay calm, because that shit is not the answer. When the police come, put your hands up. That's not the answer. When the police come, get your phone out and record. That's not the answer. When the police come, just listen. That's not the answer. So I don't know what to tell my son, and my son is the person they're looking for. You know, young black. You know, he's not really like sagging and you know with the old gang shit and all that. You know what I mean? But not to say that's an excuse, because regardless of what he looked like, you know, but he fits the motif. And I don't know what to say to him, and I'm seeing people get killed over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm like, I need to say something, I need to do something. And you know, and now I'm conscious of, and the message is, you have to do something, but from your lane. I'm not an activist. We all know I can't write an email, because that's going to take me 7 years to compose an email. So I can't do that. Um, and I don't want to run to Instagram and deliver a speech. Even if my speech is flawless, that's not who I am. I'm an artist. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm a kind of, and there's so many pieces that didn't make it and so many pieces that I didn't finish, but I was like, you know, I'm gonna kind of retell the history and show how we've been treated and depicted, and just create a timeline of everything. And then you come to the one piece which everybody came for, which is the installation of the ain't shit Gucci. And that's just like, that's a look at how we appropriate other language to make it our own. You know, the fact that we use this luxury brand, and somebody tell me, yo, how you feel? Like, oh shit, Gucci. Like, what's going on? You know, I'm Fendi right now, and we all know that. You know, that means I'm good. No, I'm fine. But in actuality, you know, ain't shit Gucci. You know, there's a lot that's wrong with our community and how they've treated us, and how they've constantly tried to suppress us in so many crazy ways. And despite all of that, you know, killing our leaders and enslaving us, and just like keeping us mentally captive and all these tricks, despite all of that, and which is when you come to the end of the show, we still flourish, because no matter what, there's things that aren't for sale. There's things like our dignity, our happiness, our pride. You know, despite all this, people are still laughing and still pushing forward, and that resiliency that we have can't be broken. So you know, I figured, I was like, it can't be broken, or it's not for sale. I figured I had to say that, and I had to say it in my way that it could last. You know, because if I was a lawyer, I would write depositions, and I'd be on the courthouse steps. I would approach it from that angle. So if I figured out, if we all approach it from different angles to reach the same point, you know, that's going to be amazing. My friend Quaz, who's a stylist, and he got together with all his other famous stylist friends and was like, yo, if these brands don't support us and publicly say it, we're not gonna put it on these celebrities. And if we know, if Takeoff and Offset ain't drip drop, if they ain't wearing it, no one is buying it. And you know what I'm saying? Because we set the standard, we set the tempo for what happens. So I was just like, let me just do this from my angle, and I was able to say something that I couldn't say anyplace else. And to my surprise, I thought it was gonna be cool, but to my surprise, whoa, it was like, it was crazy. And I was really happy to see the turnout, and I was really happy to see you guys. Almost low key cried, but I remembered I can't cry because I'm strong. So I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I waited till I got home and I cried. Like, oh, I'm so happy they came. But you know, that was my way of just saying everything I was feeling, and trying to communicate the message to my son, and push forward. So I was happy it came out really well.
I actually do appreciate that stance because when I think about Black liberation and Black people, like, you know, getting to a better place in life, everyone has their lane, and like, not everybody can be on the front lines fighting. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's what Brianna and I talk about all the time. Like, I'll help organize, I'll help do everything, but I can't fight. And so I
Mhm.
really appreciate that. And that's one of the things that we want to do with this show, is show like Black people from all different walks of life doing something to help the Black community. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some people
You
who are fighters, like, yo, I want to fight, let's go. But you know what I mean? But they don't have any directive, you know. And I was, you know, I'll say this real quick before I mean to cut you off. When Barack Obama got on TV, I don't know if you guys remember, he got on television and he delivered a message because when everybody was wilding in the streets. And do you remember when he got on television? You remember when he came? He had this little. They they figured out, yo, get Barack, have Barack talk to the people, and he didn't say a motherfucking thing. He didn't say a thing that was with any substance. That people were waiting for him to be like, yo, boycott Pepsi, and we're gonna do it. People wait for him like, go home, write a letter to this person, and we're gonna get this rocking. People were waiting for him to really say something, and he said nothing. So it was a little disappointing in, and he wasn't even in office, so he was just a regular civilian at that point. But people were waiting for him to say these things, and he didn't say anything. So he's everyone, including myself, was like really disappointed in that. Um, in the way he didn't deliver the message. So,
And going off of that, I feel like something else that we kind of talk about is like putting all of our hope into like these big high up leaders, because in reality it takes the community, it takes the grassroots it takes those people to actually get emotion started, because they can reach the people who don't feel like they're important.
mm-hmm.
And when the way that I view a lot of things, the higher you make it in corporate America, the higher you make it, the more restraint you have, the more restrictions you have.
Mm-hmm.
And with someone like Barack Obama being the president of the United States, he's not gonna go out and be like, yes, boycott, right? You know, like he's not gonna say any of that stuff, because even though he's not even president anymore, he probably has so many things riding
right.
on his livelihood. So it's kind of disappointing, because these are when I think about like, okay, in the past, the leaders were the leaders, the people who are in high up places were making things happen. And now it sort of seems like people are so afraid to do these things. And so we have to look to, you know, our neighbors, our community, you know, the people who are willing to kind of get their hands dirty, not like in the crazy, you know, but just people who are willing to do some more work to make things happen. It really always boils down to them. So that's just my take on it.
I agree.
What have been some of the most unbelievable projects that you've completed?
I think the most unbelievable project, and I'm sitting in front of it. I'm gonna try to turn this right now. I don't know if you can see that. You can kind of. I can send you a picture of that. So, it is the time I worked with Lauren Hill. It was a surreal experience. So she was going on tour. She was going on tour with Nas, and my homegirl was styling her, and my homegirl was like, "Lauren Hill needs a graphic designer." I said, "Hello, what'd you say? Come again?" She said, "Lauren Hill needs a graphic designer." I said, "Where? Lauren Hill? What? What Lauren Hill?" She said, "Lauren Hill, the Fugees." I was like, "Oh, I've been around every celebrity. Keep it cool, Lil Wayne. I done seen Drake, Travis Scott, the Locks, Cam, Jim, uh, Marky Mark, and the Funky Bunch. I didn't. Who else? Who did I see? And I kept it. Idris Alba. I kind of lost it a little bit with Idris, a little bit. But I was like, stop it. What the hell is wrong with you? Because my man was like, yo, I see Idris over there. I said, Idris? What? Child, you better. I was like, fuck. I was like, man, fuck that, man. I look just as good as Idris. Mind you, I wanted to take a picture, but because my Instagram would have gone crazy. I'd have been like twinning. Anyway, I've been around all of these people, and when she told me Lauren Hill wanted a graphic designer, and I sent some of my work, she's like, okay, come to her house. I almost shit it in my pants. I almost shit in my pants because first, the house is enormous, beautiful house, tucked away in Jersey, and when I came in, she's like, "Hey, Belchez, I heard a lot about you. Let's get to work." I'm like, "Bet, let's get to work." Put my laptop down, started sketching, started drawing, and every once in a while, on some creepy shit, I would look over to her to see if this is really happening. So I'm on my laptop and I'm like this, just peeking at her like, this is really Lauren Hill. So I'm like peeking at her and I'm like, wow. So, she is the most creative person I have ever come in contact with. She is phenomenal. Her mind, like, she pushed me to places that I never even thought imaginable. Her vision was phenomenal. Her concept, like, she was like decades ahead of my thought process, and the things she was having me do and pushing me forth was absolutely remarkable. And I literally practically lived in her house, because at the time I was running an after school program. So her driver would come pick me up in Brooklyn and then drive me to Jersey, or I'd take the train. I'd be at her house from like 6 o'clock to like 12, 1, 2 o'clock, and then go home, shower, then go to work, and repeat that whole cycle for quite some time. And we got real cool. I was in there. At one point, she was like, "Yo, Belchez, why don't you quit your job and become my nanny?" I was like, yeah, I'm kind of raising my son right now, so I don't think I'm gonna have enough time for that. So she was like, "All right, cool." But she worked and I worked. I remember one time. I remember one time I almost got fired. I'll tell you this quick story. So I'm in there, I'm graphic designing, we cool, and my homegirl Erica was with me, and we working, and I got so cool with her, I was like, ha ha ha, Lauren, you mad funny. So she stops. She leaves the room, mid laugh, we all laughing, ah. She leaves the room. She walks out the room. Her security comes in there and whispers in my ear. She's like, security was like a dread dude. She had all dreads. Dude came in, was like, "Hey, Belchez, Miss Hill doesn't want you to call her Lauren ever again. Do you understand that?" I was like, "What?" He said, "Miss Hill doesn't want you to call her Lauren ever again. Do you understand? Do I make myself clear?" I said, uh, yeah, yeah. I got it. He leaves the room. Leaves the room. Boom. Leaves the room. Lauren Hill comes back in. She's like, "We all good? We good, Belchez?" I'm like, "Yes, Miss Hill." I'm like, in my mind, like, what the fuck just happened? What? I wasn't even upset. I was just like, I want to be this rich and influential to where I can have somebody else deliver a live text message. I'm like, nah, she is the GOAT. I was just, from then on, I was like, yes, Miss Hill. No, Miss Hill. Miss Hill, can I use the bathroom? Miss Hill, I'm a little thirsty. Miss Hill, can I blink? But she's a beautiful person, phenomenal creative, and she was probably the best person creatively I've worked with. And to this day, if I see her, I'll be like, "Yo, Miss Hill." She'd be like, "Belchez, what's up?" It's all love, and it blows my mind to think that I am that cool with probably one of the greatest artists of all time musically, and I'm grateful for being in that position. So shout out to my homegirl Najat for hooking me up for that one.
Um, it's funny because the other day my dad and I were listening to Lauryn Hill, and he's like, "Wow, like she only made one album." I'm like, "That's how I know it's a classic because her career will forever ride. Like she will always have a career off that one album." So that's funny that you gave that little story. You mentioned, well, we all know that you're from New York, and so hip hop has influenced fashion a lot, and artists like Dapper Dan
Mm-hmm.
especially have influenced fashion a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so have any of these type of artists influenced your interest in fashion or the pieces that you've created?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Growing up in Harlem, I saw Dap yesterday. Literally saw him yesterday. He'd be outside. If you want Dapper Dan, I can get you Dapper Dan. If you want Dapper Dan on the show, Dap will you I can you can pull up, you get to do your little podcast thing, you can go to the spot. I'll get Dapper Dan for you. I saw Dap yesterday. So growing up in Harlem, there was Dapper Dan and there was 5001 Flavors. So they were two of like the powerhouse custom clothing companies. 5001 Flavors to this day is doing some amazing things. So if you want to look that up, it's he's that group is phenomenal. So just the energy, just the colors, just the creativity of what they were doing with clothing and with other people's brand and logo that just served as such a strong foundation to say, yo, if I want to screen print on silk and then take that silk and put it on the canvas and then pour glue on it and then set that whole thing on fire, just because, Dapper Dan took, he went down to Louis Vuitton, he was buying garment bags from Louis Vuitton and just buying thousands of dollars in garment bags and cutting the garment bags up and using the leather to repurpose that and put that on a leather jacket. He was freestyling like that. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Guy 5001 Flavors. He would take leather pieces and put it here and put it there in places that you don't traditionally see leather, and just do amazing things. So watching those two and really like knowing, I really know Guy, I know Dap, and that's just by default being in Harlem. Dap doesn't know me because I'm the greatest artist in Harlem. Dap just know me from being in Harlem, and just so happens to be I'm the greatest artist in Harlem. So just using them as templates to springboard my creativity off of was just like, I mean, no disrespect in Nebraska. If I was born in Nebraska, I wouldn't have been the same sort of individual. Hopefully there's no Nebraska listeners, but if you got any Nebraska listeners, you just lost them.
Well, I mean, honestly, we could sometimes I feel the same way about Massachusetts, so it's okay.
Okay, cool.
So I want to sort of touch base on something you mentioned way, way, way back in the beginning. You said you started with t-shirts, and you used to just paint on them, give them out to people. And so I just want to know the concept of wearable art for you. Can you speak on that and sort of give your opinion on fast fashion today and just the significance in making actual art with the work that you do and putting it into the fashion world?
Yeah, I mean, I have a piece of hold on, I'm gonna turn my camera off and bring this jacket real quick. Is it like a song you can play while I do this? Hold on, I'll be right back. Hold up. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Where is the jacket? Coming right back. Coming in hot. Coming in hot. Hiya. Okay. Boom. So, I am a fan of fast fashion because it is pushing brands like these archaic, big fashion houses like Louis Vuitton and Gucci to adapt. Because if you're gonna charge me $800, I can get something that looks just like this for $50. Like y'all gotta really step it up, and they're conscious of the consumer and what they need. And if they don't pay attention, it's gonna be over for them because old white people ain't really buying this shit no more. It's us and people like us and who have the energy that's buying these things. So every piece of fashion is wearable art. So a long time, not even a long time ago, a little while ago, I had this idea of, since I create these beautiful things on canvas, what if I took the canvas and then turned it into something? So what you're looking at is this. What size? I'm gonna give this to y'all. By the way, you can have this because this is sitting in my closet. So this is a canvas jacket that I had made, canvas leather jacket, not leather, excuse me, a canvas motorcycle jacket that I had made. I made one for Tiana Taylor. So what it was I was just creating these images of riot scenes. This was a while ago before there was so many riots, but there's always a riot happening. And I took this. What's this? This is uh, a dog, and I put the dog on the back, on the front, and I put the dog also on the back. So literally delivering a message of, you know, of zero tolerance, by wearing all of these pieces, and then this was the scene when they drug the white guy out of the car and they beat him. Um, and then of course the famous "I am man" on the back of the jacket. So all of these things, it was just like, it's just my way of trying to say my message, my way of trying to. I'm gonna find the picture of Tiana real quick, and then you guys send me your address, and I'll send these to you. I'll send one, and then I don't know. You can rock paper scissors to see who's going.
It's like, we'll share it. One person will have it on Tuesday, the next person will have it on Friday.
Yeah. Make sure you tag me, because I don't even think there's not that many of these circulating. There's only
and I seen when I was, I like making my way through people's pages sometimes when I don't have nothing to do. And I seen the post of you and Tiana Taylor. So I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the picture because I archived a bunch of things just because everybody's Instagram is sexy now. So I want mine to be sexy. So I archived a bunch of things, and one of the things I archived was her wearing the jacket. But I think I should probably bring that out of archive. I think I'm gonna do that now. But yeah, I'm conscious of what I put forth in the world, because this everything that I do. This is my resume. This is like my personal resume. So my Instagram is my resume. I don't curse in my resume. I curse in real life. But I don't curse in resume on my Instagram, and I'm conscious of what I put forth, because then that becomes the story that people know me, and that becomes the story that becomes the only story people tell. It's just like, oh yeah, he always saying the N word on this thing, and he's always calling women bees and all this other stuff. Why would I give him a situation? All right, so that's Tiana with the jacket on. And again, I only know Tiana. Let me see, is her page still the same? Yeah. And I only know Tiana because she's from Harlem, and uh and we just cool from Harlem, and she's always been a phenomenal young lady, always been super talented, multifaceted artist. She can draw, she can dance, she can sing. So I was able to get that on her. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send this to her now.
And she's a good director too.
Mm-hmm.
Spike T.
Yep.
That's actually really cool. I thought that was a leather jacket. Like, that looks so structural. Like,
Yeah.
it actually looks like a leather jacket. Like, I would not have guessed that that's canvas, but that's creative. I don't think I didn't know you could do that with canvas. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait till you get it. It's going to be even better.
Right.
We really appreciate that. I have a question. Did you sew that yourself? Because
No, nah, I would love to. So
okay.
so my man Guy over at 5001 Flavors, he's the one. So what he did was he gave me the pattern. One or two of them I cut the pattern myself, or his one of his seamstress cut the pattern, and I would paint the pattern and then give it back to him, and then they put it together. So,
because I was gonna say,
yeah.
then you're on a whole nother level, because the struggles I have with sewing, I had to give it a break, because I'm just like, Demai, you're trying to do too much, and this sewing stuff, like, it's serious. Like, you gotta put time into this.
But I feel like I've been like pushing me and Demaya. Like, when I tell her, okay, when I found out she had a sewing machine, I'm like, Demaya, you're not about to sit here every day talk about, oh my gosh, Rihanna, this looks so good on you. I can just see it now. All that stuff. You have the legs for it all. I'm like, well, then make it for me. Like, you got a whole sewing machine set up. Like, we just got to get the fabric.
Yeah,
and so it's really like a back and forth.
That's it. I gave up. I can hand sew, but that machine is too fast and it's the brrr, and you mess up and you gotta. I'm just gonna go to Zara. That's it.
Literally, mine is sitting in the case for a couple months now because I jammed it and I went on YouTube. I'm like, I'm gonna unjam this. Like, I took the whole thing apart and I put it back together perfectly. And then I used it and boom, it got jammed again. I'm like, are you kidding me? So
I don't think
that
you put it back perfectly, sis. I don't think that. No,
clearly I didn't.
no, no.
So a question I have. So I watched a video from you years back. It was at Harlem Haberdashery. It was
Mhm.
an interview you had with someone. You mentioned that a t-shirt is the most essential piece of clothing. So do
Yeah.
you still agree with that statement? And if yes, why?
Absolutely, and it's just easy. It it's simple. It's form fitting. It has history. I prefer white or black. White, black, gray. Those are my t-shirt colors. Just because you can dress it up, you can dress it down. I put a blazer over this. I'm going to a casual day at work. I take it off. I put some sneakers. It's just like, and a good t-shirt is just so important. It's just I hate the cheap t-shirts because trying to save the environment. I'm more and more conscious. But a t-shirt is essential. And growing up in Harlem, I remember when I used to wear like a 5X t-shirt, like literally a 4 and 5X t-shirt was crazy. And if your t-shirt had one spot on it, one spot, people would think you were homeless. Like it would be like yo, bro, it's one spot. Like now you got to go get another white tee. These long ass white tees, and I looked like I was in a Juvenile video or something like that. But that was what it was, and that was your whole outfit was your white t-shirt. So making sure that that white t-shirt was crisp and clean, that said a lot about like you as an individual and actually how much money you had. If you couldn't afford like a $10, $8 t-shirt, you're poor and you shouldn't be outside and you don't have a girlfriend.
That's literally hilarious. One of the things that we observe and that you keep touching on is your relationship with your son. Earlier, you mentioned that Miss Lauren Hill, asked you to, come be your nanny, and you turned that down because you had a son to raise. So we were wondering if you could elaborate on your relationship with your son and has your relationship with him influenced your work with art or your career in general?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't grow up with my father, so again, wanting to give my son, he might be a little spoiled to whatever sneaker you want, you got it as long as you give me what I need. So I didn't grow up with my mom, so giving my son that experience that I didn't have, I was always conscious of, and everything that I do is to make sure I put him in a better place. And I know he's appreciative, so it's just, and I want to set that standard for him, so when he has a boy or a girl or kids, whatever he has, he knows that, damn, my dad came to every football game. My dad came to every parent teacher conference. My dad showed up in the rain. My dad showed up when it snowed. My dad showed up every single time. And I told him it wasn't about the football, it was about you. It wasn't about anything else besides showing that unconditional support. And that was just like something that I had to teach myself, and how to because they don't tell you how to be a parent, especially since I didn't have my mom was amazing, but she did so much that she couldn't do everything. But they don't tell you these things. But I conditioned myself early on to do certain things that I didn't want to do. I'm not gonna say here and tell you I want to go to every football game. No, you losing, your team sucks. Like, what is going on? Like, what? No, I don't want to do this. But I know what that means for him because, being out there, especially last year during the pandemic, I flew out to every game and went, stayed in the hotel for one night, rented a car, and it was just to show him, yo, bro, I'm here. And he didn't really play much last year because of everything was going on. And he was like, yo, dad, you don't have to come out. Like, now I gotta come out. I gotta come out to, and I know I was like, damn. In my mind, I'm like, I don't want to come out, but I know what it meant long term, and I know establishing that foundation. So he knows, like, yo, and my father showed up for everything. You know, if he can't show up for everything, I'm gonna at least try to reach the bar and try to surpass it. So I'm conscious of raising him in a society and supporting him in a society that doesn't really want him to succeed unless it's on a field or on a basketball court. So that's my guy. That's definitely my guy. He's been texting me on and off all day. Today I'm gonna see him on Saturday. Oh, tomorrow. Oof, it's Saturday. You see, fake busy again. I don't even know what the damn day is, boy. I tell you that much. But my Instagram rocking,
I feel like that's really admirable because like that whole idea of just being there, being present, it's really not something. I think it's something that the Black community has to learn again, because when you have to make a living, it's easy to be like, I have to work, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, this is how I can provide for you. But sometimes it boils down to just being there. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily mean like, obviously you have to make money, you have to make a living, you have to set people up financially,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But I feel like a lot of the times people just put that first, and that doesn't translate as well as just showing up. Like, hey, I know you didn't expect me to be here, but here I am. And that like level of unconditional loving, making sure that they see you as a figure that they can use as a guide, it's very important. And yeah, I just really appreciate that, because there's so many, like, there's going to be thousands of conversations about Black fathers and how can we get them back into their sons' lives, and how can we create that balance between the parents and the kid, and not all the history of Black relationships just going up and down. It's always going to be a conversation. But when people actually just do it and just say, look, I didn't have this, so I'm going to give it, like, just understanding that could change a whole bunch. It could change so much in the
Yeah.
Black community. So I really appreciate that.
I wanted to be Heathcliff Huxtable. That was my thing. Not Bill Cosby. Heathcliff Huxtable.
Yeah.
And to that point that Brianna just made, your little story shows that although it's lacking in the Black community, there are Black fathers doing that, and it's inevitable that their children will grow up and do the same thing, because you can't deny like what you had. So once again, I admire that as well.
Thank you.
So, with you raising, so you started kind of this business, you've been going at it for a while. And so obviously you've had to be a father during that whole process. So what does a typical day look like for you then and now?
Well, school's about to start for me. So the flip side of everything that people see on Instagram, they think I just wake up and I sell hats and shorts and paint basketball courts and hang out with celebrities all day long and travel the world with my wife. No, motherfuckers, I go to work. Ha! Work. Ha! So a typical day would be, so I work in my community. So I work, so I'm currently transitioning into new jobs, but I worked at Harlem Link Charter School, which is in my neighborhood. So a typical day would be, I'm probably up at like 5:30 in the morning, so I get my little morning workout either in the house or I go to the gym or go for a run. Back at the house, I change, put my suit on. I'm out of the house maybe about like 7 o'clock, yeah, about 7 o'clock. I'm at school maybe at like 7:30, unloading buses in the cafeteria, making sure kids are fine. Then go through my regular school day. This is my son right now. Go through my regular school day, and then I'll get out maybe like 4 o'clock, whatever. Then at four, from 4 to 9, then I would start the second part of my day, which is following up on emails. And we all know that's going to take me 47 hours to do an email. So doing, going through my emails and then checking what art projects that I might have, or even going to the printing studio or buying canvases or whatever else I have to do, or even if I'm on a computer designing for a couple of hours, then I have to pause for breakfast. I mean, pause for dinner, spend some time with my wife, and then at like 9 o'clock, I'm taking a break, taking a shower. Then I'll go to sleep, and then then start the whole day over again, and then maybe at 4 o'clock, I'll have I have a meeting or I have to go downtown. So it's like a constant cycle. The summers, I have a little bit more time off because the summers are off. So what people don't see, and the only reason why I don't put like teacher stuff up there because I deal with kids and that's personal. Otherwise, I would show that just to show people how much work is actually put into my day. Um, so it's really important to kind of just do work. That's the only way we can get stuff done.
Thank you. That's interesting. I didn't know that you still did like teaching and stuff. So
Mhm.
that explains a whole lot in terms of how you're able to easily just connect with younger people and get them involved in, what you're doing and giving them sort of a view of, hey, art is something that's important. Maybe you can test it out and
Mhm.
creative expression. I think that's pretty cool. And like with the Instagram, like how you're saying you don't post things like that on your Instagram is a portfolio, like you're saying, and people
Mhm.
give the best of the best on their Instagram. So it would make sense. And I think it's sometimes it's important to not just have everything on your social medias because
Mhm.
it's still your personal life. It's still your life. It's not like you owe anything to anyone. And even though you're someone who would definitely want to give everyone as much information as possible as how they can make it, sometimes your life is your life. So thank you for sharing that with us.
No problem.
Okay. So to close this amazing interview, we have one more question. What's next for Belchez outside of doing work as an educator? And in your most recent project that you finished, the amazing basketball court.
Thank you.
What is next, and what things should we be on the lookout for?
So so I just did a project with Avarex. I don't know if you know Avarex. Avarex is it's a leather brand that was very popular when I was in like high school and college. So I was part of that campaign, the Icon campaign. So that's dropping real soon. I have that. So I have like two really big art shows um, that I'm working on right now. One dealing with health. When you think about the issues that plague the black community, we often talk about poor education, gun violence, police brutality, but we don't focus in enough on actually on health. Growing up eating corner store. New York is a little different than Massachusetts, but I have kids. I have kids that wake up. Breakfast is bacon, egg, and cheese. Mom pack bacon, egg, and cheese for lunch. They go home. They'll eat a bacon, egg, and cheese with ketchup. Sour straws and Takis and Arizonas for lunch. I have kids that literally second and third grade who have full blown diabetes, which is like it's crazy. And traditionally the African American diet, because we were enslaved people, we chitlins and chicken wings and fried this and fried that. But during that particular time, we were able to kind of burn those calories off because we worked so hard. Now we still hold on to this diet, and we don't have the same sort of you know work the amount of work that we do, but we still have this horrible diet. And in most of those impoverished communities, corner stores and pizza and Chinese food and liquor and cheap juices are the staple in the diet. Even if you go to the supermarket, the frozen food section is the biggest section. We barely have fresh breads, and we don't have fresh fruits and real fruits, and everything is just like BS. So I'm taking a look at that and showing and I'll send you guys some behind the scene images of some of the things that I'm working on, showing you what that looks like and how I'm approaching it and how I'm just want to shine a light on it, and then showing you what we can do to kind of get out of that. So that's the one next show. The other next show is called so that show is that show is called what's that show? Oh, it's called Oh Shit, I Blew Up the Kids.
Mm.
And that was based on that was based on Honey, I Blew Up the Kids from Disney movie. The second show that I'm working on is it's a mental health show. It's called Tell Me How You Really Feel, B. So what I plan to do is I plan to go to every single, and this show, this might be the show, this might be the thing that frees me from working at schools and allows me to kind of travel. So what I plan to do is I plan to cover a handball court in canvas. Um, so I'll do one in the Bronx, one in Manhattan, one in Queens, one in Brooklyn, one in Staten Island. So I'm gonna lay out various colors of paint and a ball that'll sit behind, like a cushion ball that'll sit behind the paint. Invite anyone from the neighborhood. You have 1 minute to go inside of this canvas covered space and tell me how you really feel, B. And you have 1 minute to throw the ball, touch the ball, roll the ball, do whatever you want to really get that energy out. Maybe you're happy and maybe you're not throwing the ball. Maybe you're angry and the whole time you're just dipping one ball full of black paint and just throwing it at the wall over and over and over again. So the back of the canvas will be mounted with a mic. So those sounds of the ball and the sounds of the people will then be turned into a soundtrack um, that we then I'll figure out that part later on. Um, uh, but once we get done with those images and that I'm gonna have someone actually um, look at it, and we can say, you know what? Well, Brooklyn feels this way versus the Bronx, and the Bronx feels this way versus Queens. Oh, it's interesting that Queens used these particular colors, and the Bronx used this particular colors. Oh, Manhattan only used black. So reversing the narrative of how we're always being looked upon and scrutinized and like, well, you know what, I'm going to take this and we'll put it in a place. Someone professional is going to look at the colors and then break the colors down because colors mean everything. Like, so, black has a meaning, red has a meaning, green. If you look at all like fast food logos, 90% of them are red because red is a color that invokes hunger. McDonald's, Chick Fil A, Wendy's, Burger King, they all have red in it. So looking at that, and then what I'm gonna do is after we get it analyzed, I'm gonna cut the pieces up, sell them, and then donate the money back to communities and try to help establish mental health programs. That is a very big thing that I'm trying to do. But then I can then take that same sort of concept and bring it to the NFL. Same sort of concept and bring it to the NBA. Same sort of concept, bring it to the WNBA. Same sort of concept, and just have them bring it to UMass. And then we'll have what do my female students feel versus my male students. And you can pick whatever color, you can do whatever you want. You have a minute to tell me how you really feel. So those are the next two shows.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow. That is like, that's really like, that's such a cool concept. Like, I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to be in New York. I'm gonna have to be in New York for that because that's just really cool. And going into the health piece of what you were talking about with your first exhibit, our listeners know that me, Demai, and Mahar, we're all alkaline vegans, and so something that's very important to us is being clean eating. Listen, so we definitely feel like that's crucial. Like, people in the Black community, food is tied to your health. It's tied to your mental health. It's tied to everything, your emotions, how you feel. It all plays a role. And so for us, we like to promote, okay, it's not just about your mental health, because your mental health, your stomach, it creates the amount of energy you get. When you have a lack of oxygen, you're tired, you're irritable, so it people have to see the full picture. And a lot of the times people say like, oh, I'm eating healthy, I'm gonna get a salad. Like, even that, it's like, you don't realize that your body is hungry. Your body's hungry. You're eating all of this food and you're feeling full, but you're starving yourself. And right. So we definitely resonate with that piece heavily. And we would love to, see that exhibit and be able to, experience it with you, because that is just such like, that's a really close thing that we deal with. And
yeah, and food is identity. Food is identity. Like, Black people, what we known for? Chicken wings and watermelon. Like, and why I'm breaking the stereotypes down. Oh, when you see this shit, ooh, Ooh, sometimes this is, and I'll keep it 100. Like I'm doing things, and I have to go online to be like, no, somebody else had to have done this. Like this is too easy. Like I'm doing this. Like no one is addressing health from an art. What? I don't understand. Like, oh, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you a sneak preview. Hold on, I'm gonna go get it. Hold on.
Guys, if you're listening or watching, you're getting all the exclusives. So you better feel honored.
You better tune in, you better share. And also you have to keep a lookout. We'll definitely be posting about all of these things that are mentioned so that you guys can experience it too, because what is that?
So this is a sculpture that has never been seen anywhere. It's an exclusive. Let me get closer. An exclusive. My teeth look good in this shit. An exclusive. And these ain't the shits from Colombia.
They're not the veneers.
No, these are just from my mom, my father, and Smile Direct. Shout out Smile Direct. Cut the check, man. Make it out to she thinks she knows Smile Direct. So so this particular piece, so this piece is, so what you're looking at right now, I don't know if you remember, you guys might be a little bit younger than I am. So this is a quarter water. You call them the hugs, or I'm not sure what you call things in Massachusetts because my wife
Jug juice.
Yes. So my wife is from Massachusetts, and I call the things that I braid, I call them lanyards. And she's like, "What's a lanyard?" She calls it what's it called? Fig, or the things you used to braid, like the
Yeah, cobras, gimp. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she called it gimp, and
but those are two different things.
that's the Massachusetts shit. I'm like, what's gimp? I said my grandmother had a gimp leg, but I don't know what you're talking about right now. It's called lanyard. Anyway, Massachusetts is different. So in Harlem, New York, we call this a quarter water. So on the quarter water, it has the milliliters, and the when you turn it in, you get 5 cents for this. So what I did was I simply took a grenade pin and put it on top of this. So this is a symbolize this is killing our kids, because this isn't present in any other community besides our community. This is literally sugar water. This is the reason why I have second graders that have diabetes, and and it didn't even have a flavor. It was just like the red, the green, and it was disgusting. But it was cheap and it was everywhere. So if you didn't have any money, you had a quarter, you can buy one of these. The dude at the store would give me five for $1, and this would me and my friends would drink this every once in a while, because I'm West Indian, so my mom didn't play that outside food shit. So I was definitely, had a very stable diet, but every once in a while I would sneak off. But for the friends that didn't have the stable diet, this was the thing that is killing our kids. Health is wealth. Literally, health is wealth. So this is part of the show, and no one has ever. My manager might be mad, but she thinks she knows. But
We'll try to get it so that maybe when we release it, she'll be a little bit more smooth over.
You could warn her.
yeah. I can.
That's amazing.
It really is. And one of the things that I tell people every day at the cafe is that, one, changing your diet, changing what is on your plate, it's a revolutionary act. And it's literally like, if Black people buy in, like, they don't know what they will do to the system. And number two, we call the standard Black American diet poison. And so I really appreciate that sculpture that you created, because it's poison and it will kill you. So, oh my gosh, thank you for that. Thank you.
And even like adding to that, when you showed the Huggies juice, like it literally threw me back to times when me and my sisters and my cousins would have quarters. It was like we had like $1.50, and we could get so much from the quarters. So like honey buns, blue juice, whatever that was.
Blue juice,
the
right?
fruit candies, and you had people with carts. You just go and get a paper bag full of like you could just rack up with no money at all. And I'm like, okay, and now that I'm an adult and I'm like shopping at Whole Foods, I'm getting like vegetables and even like lettuce. It's not like organic lettuce is like $1.25, like it's like $1.50. And I'm like looking at prices where I'm like, this is so cheap, like this is cheap. And yes, you're gonna have your, you know, some expensive things because people are going to capitalize on that word, organic, vegan. Like now it's like a trend, so it's kind of unfortunate. But like when I go grocery shop, I'm like, meat is expensive. Meat is expensive. Like I can spend $60 and get a week's worth of groceries. You spend $60 on meat, that's probably like 3 meals, you know, if you know how to stretch it. So like that idea, it's like, oh, being vegan is expensive, it's too much and all. It's like, it's not. It's your mindset. You're so used to being able to buy hundreds of thousands of snacks for no money at all when that's still not giving you what you need. You're not getting anything. You're just wasting your money. So it's just crazy. And I feel like that sculpture is it's a direct tie to what it is and what it's doing. Like that, this is what it is and this is what it's doing. If you do not know, when your kid sees primary colors in a fridge, they're gonna go for those colors. They're gonna go for red and blue. You know, they're not gonna look at the apple juice and be like, oh wow, I want that. Like they're gonna look at the colorful stuff. And so that's what they do. They label all these snacks with all this color and all this. Oh wow, kids are gonna love it. They're gonna point to it when they get in the store. And like my little cousins, they do it all the time. They're like, can we go to the store? I'm like, sure. I'm like, you got $1, pick what you want. And that's what they go for. I'm like, you sure you want blue juice? That's what it's called, blue juice.
Blue juice.
100% artificial flavor. Like, and I'm like, are you sure you want that? Here, take this instead. You know, you have to just show them this is better. This is going to taste better. They don't even know. So it's just crazy how, you know, capitalism being, you know, this whole idea of making money off of people being unhealthy. It's
really making it's money off of people that are really like uneducated, because we, you know, if you don't know any better, you can't do any better, you know what I mean? So, and then like let's throw this shit in this neighborhood and make it for this cheap, you know. But I'm on it, you know, and the funny thing is I'm still learning, you know. I'm learning about, and I'm talking to Jay like, yo, I just sent you 2 images real quick from 2 pieces that I'm working on. So, you know, I talk to Jay all the time, like health is his last frontier, you know. Jay is this big burly like kid, and I'm like, yo bro, leave the chopped cheeses alone. Oh dad, I don't need to chop cheese. Like, leave that shit alone, bro. Like, if you really want to transcend your body into a whole nother, LeBron James is vegan half the year, so that should tell you something. He has the money to do anything, buy anything, the best of the best of the best food, and you choose to be vegan. Not even get the Kobe cut meat and the fresh Alaskan salmon. You like, nah, B, I'm gonna be vegan. So if you got, so that should tell you like, yo, if I have the ability to do anything in the world and I choose to be vegan, oh, you onto something. You definitely. I'm trying to trend. I don't eat red meat. I don't eat pork. I'm trying to transition out of that, and it's for me because I need to be a real transition. I just can't wake up and eat carrots all day long because I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. So it has to be a slow transition into carrots and lettuce.
We'll help
carrots are hybrids, so you don't have to worry about carrots.
We'll help you with that, no problem.
We got a few recipes for you to dabble into your meals if you want.
Because I cook, I throw down. I made an impossible lasagna last night.
Okay. So
threw it down. My wife didn't even know. She didn't even know. She's like, lasagna is good. I'm like, why do you sound like Wendy Williams? She's like, I don't know, but it's good. Anyway, we'll figure out what her troubles later are.
Well, everybody, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this fruitful conversation as much as we have. This season is definitely, we thought last season was our best season yet. This season is going to be our best season yet, as it should be. And we really want to thank Belchez for coming on and spending time and really giving us all the tea, because listen, people, you're not going to get this that much.
Nowhere.
Exactly. And so we're just so grateful for this connection, and we're so grateful that the ways that you want to help us. And so we'll definitely stay in touch. If you want to drop your social medias where people can find you, now's the time to do that.
Right, so it is Belchez, BelchezNYC. The moment you type in BEL, it'll generate because I'm that hot.
Period.
Period, sis!
Well, everybody, make sure you are looking out for our content. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, as well as follow us on Instagram at Shoot Things Pod to be on the lookout for more episodes. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.